Good morning, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order at the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. This meeting is being live streamed. Members, in order for online attendance to hear, please make sure you're unmute your microphone when speaking, mute and unmute your microphone. Please identify yourself when making or sending a motion so that the secretary can capture who is making the motion. For those attending in person, please complete the sign-in sheet located in the hallway before you leave. If you wish to make a public comment, please fill out the public comment card and return it to staff members. For those participating via Zoom, please keep your microphone muted unless you are called upon to speak. When appropriate on the agenda, we will request comments from those online, and you can indicate your desire to speak via the chat box. Staff is monitoring Zoom and will recognize you when it is time for you to speak. Aaron, want to call the roll, please?
Sounds good. Mayor Bennett,
Present.
Frank Beal,
Present.
President Brawley,
Present.
Mayor Curry, Mayor Grasso,
Here.
Mayor Hofert,
Here.
Nina Itamudia, Mayor Noak, President Reinbold, Mayor Rodering, Joanna Ruiz,
Here.
Carolyn Schofield, Ann Sheehan,
Here.
Matt Walsh,
Here.
Jung Yoon, Leanne Redden, Koros Mohammadian.
Ladies and gentlemen, present, we do have a quorum, but we also have two people online, Nina and
And
Jung. I'll entertain a motion to allow them to participate. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote of no. Motion carries, and welcome those who are on Zoom. First item on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report. Aaron?
Thank you. Welcome to our November meeting. It's lovely to see you all. This is our last meeting of the year. As you heard, Mayor Bennett announce that we are canceling December's meeting as per usual. I want to lead with just saying it was so great to see so many of you last week at our 20th anniversary celebration and the launch of the next long range plan. To celebrate really 20 years together. I'm going to share a little bit more about that on our agenda later. Just a couple other highlights for you this morning in my report here. Transit reform passed. I know many of you are intimately aware of this as well. It is a momentous milestone for our state. Everyone who rides public transit for now and generations to come can be assured that there will be funding for our transit stakeholders here in Northeastern Illinois. It was Senate Bill 2111. The bill provides, again, stable funding and governance reforms for CTA, Metra, and PACE, delivering on the vision of having $1.5 billion in revenue for our transit systems operations, as identified in the PART report. So recognizing that it's tough to do hard things, and, while we may not agree on all of the details, I think one of the things that I'm so proud of this board is really that we did all agree that our transit system is critical to our economic growth and our continued prosperity for residents of the region. I'll just recognize that, the real work begins now. I think not that that wasn't real work or hard to get past, important to any new local government being stood up, making sure that the governance is right, making sure that the reporting and the requirements and that they're delivering on what they said that, what the intent of the bill is and what we put forth in part, that we want a system that engages and provides rides to more people across our region in meaningful ways, and that we're doing that in a data-driven fashion. So again, I think it's a clear example of how collaboration, regional planning, and partnership can help to deliver meaningful results for the people that we serve. Senate bill does go to this governor's desk for his signature. Again, more details will be presented during our legislative update later on the meeting agenda here. Over the past several weeks, I just wanted to highlight a couple of our engagement activities that we've had across the region, advancing our mission through presentations, collaboration, and on-the-ground outreach. We had a team that traveled to Springfield to present to the Engineering Society of Illinois on the Regional Transportation Plan, to share how CMAP's shaping the next 20 years of mobility across our region. Closer to home, we had two staffers, Prithvi Hedge and Jesse Altman, who spoke to the Youth Climate Justice Summit, engaging high school students in a dialogue on climate, transportation, and the future they'll inherit. We had staff joining the Urban Transportation Center, UIC, talking about our jobs quality access tool, an economic development tool that we have here at CMAP. And then we connected in Maywood with residents on the Haunted Trail and the Pumpkin Patch Parade to really talk about the Roosevelt Corridor planning work that we're doing there to make sure that we were engaging local residents and families who don't often have the time to come to public meetings. In Streamwood, I was proud to join local leaders to celebrate the new opening of a bicycle and pedestrian bridge over Illinois Route 59, a long-awaited project that was supported by CMAP funding and state transportation funds and federal funds. So again, together, all of these projects, all of these activities that happened since we last met are just an exciting example of how we're really trying to connect with residents across our region and make sure that we as a regional planning agency are delivering tangible results to communities. We continue to support local county partners who are tackling housing challenges across the region. The Lake County Housing Initiative, again, is bringing together business leaders, elected officials, municipal planners, developers, and housing advocates to talk about a shared vision for actionable strategies to expand attainable housing. With support from the Schreiber Family Foundation, this initiative convened a series of well-attended workshops focused on linking jobs and housing and transportation. Their final summit early next year will present the recommendations on a path forward for improving housing access and affordability throughout Lake County. And then in McHenry County, we're also partnering with county leaders and the Urban Lands Institute to develop a housing readiness action plan. So this plan examines barriers to housing development, again, identifying those strategies that are necessary to make it easier and more cost-effective to build types of housing that local communities need. Recent analysis that we put forth shows that the median home price in McHenry County has increased nearly 50% since 2020, which is really driven by limited housing supply, with only 7% of homes built since 2010. So again, this is a crucial need. I know it's in the news all the time, but you all feel it. We're really excited to be able to work with our county partners in this way. And the hope is that we can continue to find resources to expand upon this work at the local level once those countywide action plans are done. Okay, local contribution letters. Again, I think you all are aware, but we rely on annual contributions of about $5 million plus from IDOT, and then also from funding from the 7 counties, 280 municipalities, along with CTA, RTA, Metra, and PACE, and the Illinois Tollway. The letters for our local contributions are going out. U.S. Department of Transportation does require a 20% match for our agency in order to unlock the federal funds here. Without this, our region would not be able to have the work that we do at CMAP. If you do get questions from partners as they're receiving those, or if they're partners that we need to reach out to directly to talk about the work that we're doing, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to schedule those meetings and get out and talk to our local members. And then just a preview of today's agenda, you'll see a common thread running through each items, which is stewardship and readiness, from strengthening CMAP's fiscal resilience by establishing a revolving line of credit and an updated procurement policy, to advancing our long-range vision through the Century Plan and our climate action plan for Greater Chicago. Today's discussions really do reflect how CMAP continues to be bold while balancing fiscal responsibility at the same time. And then you'll hear a legislative update, as I mentioned, on recent state and federal activities. And then just a quick note, I am just humbled, and I don't often like to, pat myself on the back here, so apologies for my awkwardness, is that I am the recipient of the 2025 Motorola Solutions Foundation Excellence in Public Service Award, as presented by the Civic Federation. And I am was delighted, honored, surprised, shocked. And so the awards program is taking place Thursday, December 18th, downtown. You all are invited as my guest. I believe I've heard from about half of you. If you're able to make it, please do let us know today, because we are required to get them our head count. But I just honored, and it just continues to remind me how important this work is, and how much I really appreciate working with all of you, because without each and every one of you, without our municipal partners, without our county partners, without all of our public sector partners, the work that we do here, and the staff that spends so much time doing really great work as well, I wouldn't be recognized for this. So thank you.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for me. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any comments on Mayor? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you first of all, congratulations, and well deserved. But also want to say thank you to you and to the team for that incredible event on November 4th. It not only kind of brought so many important voices together into the room, it highlighted the incredible work that everyone's been doing, and it gave this board an opportunity to get to know each other outside of sitting in this little U-shape saying motion second. So just want to say, looks like Zoom just died or something happened, but in any case, just wanted to say kudos to everybody and deep appreciation.
Thank
Mayor,
you,
thanks, and certainly second that for being at that event and seeing a lot of the members that participated. You know, certainly for me, for being chair of this organization for 20 years, to see some of the old employees come back, our former executive directors come back, and kind of highlight what has been a truly remarkable experience. And especially the young people that worked here and went on to parlay to, you know, bigger and better things. This has really been an organization from day one, almost like a think tank. It's been an opportunity for bright young minds to come here, get involved in planning, and then move on to, you know, to other careers. So we've really been a marketplace for that. And I know today with our staff and some of the bright young people that we have, you know, continuing to work at CMAP, that they will parlay their futures too. But what a great event. I couldn't be more proud to see, you know, close to 1,000 people in attendance. The remarkable job of raising funds to support not only that event, but the organization. I think that's the first time we ever did that. So that was very exciting to see the support that we got, financial support that we got for that evening. But again, to the staff and who, you know, the organizers of that event, there's so many things going on at one time. And certainly besides the food and drink, which a lot of people stayed for some time. And again, it was just so great to see so many old faces too that came back and recognizes the achievements of this organization. And one other comment I'll make regarding the transportation bill that was passed. I think I was certainly a bit surprised. I didn't think they were going to be able to do that in the veto session, but you know, the core of what they did was sitting out before them. I think the surprise and to my delight was that they came up with funding for 1.5 billion, which is what this organization had recommended as a benchmark for financial funding going forward. It was great to see. You know, nobody likes to see what happens when you create new revenues, but I think it was palatable for what they did finally come up with versus some of the other ideas that were thrown out there. I think it's a workable, you know, a workable thing going forward. And again, finally, to this agency, who in the part plan and the options we offered the General Assembly in putting that together was just a great opportunity for people to work together, both at the state level and certainly us locally here, knowing what the needs were and what you know, what details details are always in the final analysis. I'm just hoping that with the new boards being created, that they put in the best of the best to sit on that board. It's especially knowing, Frank and I, you know, starting this organization, how critical it is to have key people who understand where they're going with the thing, that have background experience in it, and to make it a success. And certainly I know we'll be watching as those appointments start coming down the line. But the promise is to do exactly that, to bring in people who have experience, who have certainly the energy to start from scratch in a lot of ways and make that thing work. So we will be watching what goes on. And again, congratulations to our staff and organization in the final recommendation of the part plan to give the General Assembly as a framework for them to do what they needed to do. So.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, moving on, we have the consent agenda. We have the minutes. We also have a procurement of $113,000. We also have consideration of our meeting schedule for the calendar year 26. And also in that is next year, we will be meeting on Veterans Day, and we've suggested that we move that a week further to the 18th of November to accommodate what other activities may be going on that day for everyone. So with that in mind, if there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second, Rotary.
Moved in second. Any other final questions? If not, all in favor, signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, vote of no. The motion is
Aye.
approved. Moving on to item 6, something we had discussed for some time in executive committee, and are making a recommendation to the full board on the authorization to establish a revolving line of credit with a local financial institution and adopt a policy for the LLC utilization. Do you have any comments on that? Aaron?
I do not. Boss, did you want us? No, I mean, I'll just say as seen in your packet, you know, one of the things we're trying to do is make sure that we have tools and resources available to us should we reach some sort of risk. Really, this isn't just for our consultants, it really is for staff and for us to be able to manage our cash flow effectively should we need tools and resources to do that. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but Boss is also here if we have any questions about the policy or about the
Very
line of
good.
credit.
Just a quick question, and that is, I understand the thinking behind all of this. I read through and maybe too quickly, what is the notice provision to the board if you are going to be using the line of credit? And then I saw there were reports, no fewer than quarterly, but just in terms of the initiation of this process, what's the notice requirement?
Boss?
Yeah, so we could incorporate a report that we will be providing the activity on the line of credit on a monthly basis with our report that we present to the executive committee. So we could develop something like that. But the goal for us and the policy states that we would like to promptly repay the line of credit. So every time we get proceeds from our funders, the goal will be to have zero balance outstanding on the line of credit.
And so in that agenda item here, I do believe we say that the board meeting immediately following is when we have to notice the notice to the board. And if it doesn't say that, here, I'm just looking.
I know we
Monitor.
discussed it at executive session.
We did discuss it.
It would be a concurrent notification to the board as we, if we need to do them.
Must provide reports not less than frequently than quarterly is what we have in there.
Right. And so my thought is just, you know, if we're heading in that direction, I think it's important for the board to have notice in advance. If you're, obviously you're doing your weekly whatever. So I just think if there's some way to have a notice provision to the board before that's initiated, I think it's important for us to be aware of it. Thanks.
And I
You
assume
can
it'll be a line item every board meeting as to what the line of credit is.
Currently, the executive committee gets thorough monthly reports on all of our financial transactions. So this would be included in their monthly reports. So
I
immediately
think we would all like to have a line
for
item
everybody.
every board meeting.
And every
as to what
board
the
meeting?
Line of credit is at that time. So if, that way, if we need to discuss it, we can.
We can add that.
Those two items, I'll first entertain a motion to add those two items.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Then on the final motion, are there any other questions regarding the issue? If not, call a roll on this one. Aaron, go ahead.
Yep, that sounds good. Let me
you.
find my. Thank you. Mayor Bennett,
Yes.
Frank Beal,
Yes.
President Brawley,
Yes.
Mayor Curry, Mayor Grasso, Mayor Hofert,
Aye.
Nina Itamudia,
Yes.
Mayor Noak, President Reinbold,
Yes.
Mayor Rotering,
Yes.
Joanna Ruiz, Carolyn Schofield, Ann Sheehan, Matt Walsh,
Yes.
Jung Yoon, and the motion carries.
And the motion carries. Thank you all.
We will add those and provide an updated policy.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the update on the Century Plan. Aaron?
Right. Oh, you know what? Next up, we actually have consideration of the updated CMAP procurement policy, I believe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, and we will invite Yolanda Martin to join us, procurement officer.
Moving too fast here. Sorry.
It was at the bottom of the page.
Go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, CMAP Board of Directors. Board approval is requested to adopt the updated procurement policy, which reflects current regulations and best practices. The updated policy will increase transparency and accountability in procurement activities and enhance transparency. Upon approval, training for staff will begin immediately to make sure that we are in compliance with all of the procurement activities as required by guidelines.
Any questions regarding that? I'm sure our auditors would be appreciative of that policy being updated. There are no further questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
Moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? If not, all in favor, signify by a vote of aye. Opposed, vote of no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on then to
All right.
century plan.
So I alluded to this earlier, but I just thought, for those of us who were there and didn't get to see everything and everyone, and those of us who weren't able to make it, I just wanted to give you sort of a sense of what happened last week, Tuesday at our Century Plan. As Mayor Bennett noted, we were so excited. We had almost 1,000 people at the old post office for a first of a kind event that, something new that we wanted to try to launch the Century Plan and celebrate our 20-year anniversary. I think this morning was a testament to the fact that everything that I've heard from folks has been very positive about the engaging activities and the opportunity for people to connect. And I think one of the things that I've heard time and time again is like often you'll go to a transportation event or like a developers event or an economic development event, and you see sort of the people who are in their same silos of work. But I've had many people come up to me afterwards and just been excited to, have all of these people across a broad range of issues in the room to connect with on key issues here. So next slide. Just a little sense of photos from there. Anybody else? I know I've heard from a few of you this morning. Anybody else wanted to share anything before I give a few other updates? We'll just keep going. So a state of the region by the numbers here. Next slide. Again, over 900 attendees, $27,000 in ticket sales. We did close event registration because we didn't want, we were out of room. So that was exciting. 40 plus elected officials, including 5 of the 7 county board chairs. We had mayors from across the region, board members, county commissioners, legislative leaders, and a project like this requires a whole lot of staff to be there to make sure that people know where they're going and to help make sure people are making connections. We had over 80 of our staff there as well. Next slide. A total of 52 sponsors for the event and $146,000 in sponsorships. Commitments from sponsors for future engagements. We had so many people come and say like, hey, we, not this year, but next year we'd love to be involved. And so as we think about using this as a platform to launch into the next year for workshops and subject matter events across the region, we will certainly be taking advantage of that. The adult beverages were all donated again, so thank you to our sponsors. Again, first time that we've asked for sponsorships like this. I think this speaks to the strength of our brand identity and the trust and connections we have with our partners. Next slide. Again, we were monitoring our social media afterwards. We had this powerful testimonial that was shared on LinkedIn from Dr. Harriet Lewis about just, organizers of CMAP showed us an event in a different way and inclusion in terms of who's at the table and how the entire experience was designed. So again, wasn't paying for people to say these things, but really great. And I think, again, this is a testament to you all as leaders, regional leaders as well. So next slide. One other note that I heard too was from a Springfield insider who said CMAP is the only trusted voice in Springfield. Again, we were sort of coming off the heels of transit legislation, the end of a very sort of nonstop veto session, but we get calls all the time about which funding resources, and really wanted to drive people, especially on the transit conversation, to transportation funds for transportation uses is a really good best practice here. So we put up a number of the banners that we had up. So if you wanted to take a look at those before you leave here too, or take some photos for yourself and your teams here, we wanted to give people some data to sort of chew on. Starting next year, we are going to have a public-friendly data report for folks talking about changing trends across the region as well, related to quality of life issues and housing, the economy, flooding, the region's aging population, and more. So in January, again, this public report will be sort of our baseline for taking out to communities as we work with the councils of governments to sort of understand, does this reflect what you're seeing locally, and how can we use this to better plan for the future here? We have a new website that's available that will be the hub for all of the work around the Century Plan as well. URL is on the screen. And next slide. So that's it on the event, but I wanted to also just remind us that we did have a really great workshop, our last board meeting, after the board meeting with Kerr Smith, because as regional leaders, you too play an important role in shaping what this plan is ultimately going to look at. And so there were a few key themes that came up time and time again when we were talking, and that really is funding uncertainty, concern for infrastructure, affordability across the region, but that there was a hopefulness around regional collaboration, our transportation system, and economic diversity of our region here. We're going to use these insights to inform key regional shifts and those ongoing discussions again, and continue to engage you throughout this next year and a half or so. So over the next 2 years, we're going to engage with governments, businesses, civic groups, and more, and residents as we develop the bulk of the plan targeted for adoption by the Board and MPO Policy Committee in the fall of 2027. But we'll be asking folks, how do they think people will travel? Where are people going to live and work? What new industries might emerge? What are our biggest challenges and opportunities? Again, really sort of seeking that public level input for this process as well. And then next slide. So, your role in this is going to be critical. And I mentioned we are going to go out to each of the councils of governments to talk with them, to facilitate a workshop with your peers. I think that would be a great opportunity if you would like to, be the host of a workshop with a COG or key leaders from your region. We're happy to sort of develop a process that works. We definitely want to hit every COGS, but if, in your part of the region, maybe we should really be talking to the housing folks and convene something, or maybe we should really be talking to environmental stakeholders or economic development stakeholders. Again, we are going to be reaching out to you for some insights as to what you would like to do. I'd love to have you all host something in your region that we can come out and support. And then we will have a series of roundtables on scenario planning, grand challenge topics as well. So there will be sort of broad and specific opportunities for engagement, but I look forward to connecting with you all on how we do that moving forward. And then again, towards the end of next year, so we're gathering perspectives. Next year, we're going to continue to gather perspectives, synthesizing ideas mid to late 2026, and then setting that vision and executing commitments in 2027. So that is our plan. That is where we're going. And we are excited to have you along for the ride. So happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Any further comments on the event? What was so nice is the separate rooms you had with different entertainment. It was unique, and I think it was just a fun evening, just a great fun evening.
Good. Well, we're hoping to, again, you take that energy and package it up in smaller bite sizes as we take it around the region. And we'll be bringing, our facts, our data, our stand-up signs, and all of that sort of stuff along with us. So thank you.
And one last comment on the Century Plan itself, as we did with the launch of the 2020 plan. I mean, the outreach that took place back then with, the residents who live in our Northeast Illinois area was pretty comprehensive. I mean, we had kiosks, we had all kinds of local community meetings, and I know we intend to try to do that as best we can this time around to get that kind of input coming right from those who we represent. So
yeah. So expect a call from me so that we can help sort of brainstorm what we want to do locally. Thanks.
Thanks, Aaron. Next item is the update on the comprehensive climate action plan. We have Bill Barnes and also Nora Beck.
You want me to start?
Yeah, sure. Thank
Okay,
you,
thanks.
Karen.
I'm going to actually start it because I had the privilege of representing the CMAP Board on the steering committee guiding development of the region's comprehensive climate action plan. The steering committee includes county board chairs and thought leaders from businesses, utilities, workforce, state, county, and municipal governments, and community organizations. So it was a true cross section of the region. The draft plan reflects the collective guidance of the steering committee and 4 technical working groups that informed each sector of the plan. So as the steering committee, the contributions were that we set the overall emissions reduction goal for the planning area. And I just want to say the planning area actually extended into Wisconsin and Indiana as well. So it was a bigger group than we normally even include into there. And then for this plan to work, it needs to be both ambitious and implementable. As such, we focused on identifying specific actions local governments and regional partners can realistically advance. And I want to also add that I was really impressed with the contributions that everyone had and the discussion revolving around it. What started in one location, you know, over the months and the time that we had met, it actually did evolve into really realistic goals that I think everyone felt that their input was heard and they had a valuable participation there. And we centered the plan around the benefits people care about: cleaner air, healthier communities, future energy cost savings, and strong workforce and economic opportunities. We ensured strategies are tailored to the unique emissions profile of each county, because what drives emissions in Cook County is different from Kane or Will or McHenry County. With that, I will turn it over to staff and Nora to walk through the modeling results, priority strategies, and the final steps before plan submission.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carolyn. Good morning. So we've reached a major milestone. We now have a draft of the Comprehensive Climate Action Plan for Greater Chicago, and then we will be finalizing it over the next couple of weeks. And I want to share a quick overview of what's in the plan and then highlight what we've learned along the way. So the next, oh yeah, this is it. Okay, so climate change is here, but so is our plan to act. Rising temperatures are fueling more frequent storms, flooding, poor air quality, driving up costs and harming health, our economy, and the natural systems that we depend on. The Climate Action Plan maps out a path to cut greenhouse gases and air pollution, helping mitigate these impacts. Transitioning to a clean economy can create thousands of jobs and strengthen regional competitiveness. And cleaner air will deliver immediate public health benefits, saving lives, reducing illnesses, and improving quality of life. In the next slide, when the US EPA announced support for state and regional climate action planning, CMAP partnered with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission. And the whole point is to develop a plan that addresses every major source of emissions and show how this region can lead in meeting global climate goals. This directly fulfills a recommendation in On to 2050, which identified the need to develop a regional climate action plan to make progress on the emissions reduction target that we set in that planning process. The plan focuses on what has the biggest impact, builds on what's already working either within the region or in other US states, and strengthens our collective influence at the state and federal levels. It also includes tools and case studies that communities can use to take action locally. I skipped a couple of slides. We'll go to the next one. The region produces around 152 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent annually. Our emissions put us among the highest emitting regions in the country, which means action here matters. Reducing emissions in Greater Chicago means moving the needle nationally. 3 sectors drive most of the region's emissions. Industry at 36%, led by steelmaking, refining, and manufacturing. Buildings at 35%, largely from fossil fuel heating in homes and businesses. Transportation at 26%, primarily gasoline and diesel use for passenger and freight travel. Smaller but important contributions come from waste, agriculture, and water systems, while our forests and wetlands capture about 2% of our gross emissions through carbon sequestration. And again, local context matters, right? The Cook County leads in total emissions, while Northwest Indiana has the highest per capita rates due to the industry clusters there. I wanted to quickly review recent emission trends and future scenarios that are explored in the plan. So since 2005, the Greater Chicago region has reduced greenhouse gas emissions by about 20%. That's a very significant start in just 15 years. Under the guidance of our steering committee, the plan sets a long-term reduction target. We can go to the next slide. Of 80 to 85% by 2050 from 2005 levels. That's a mouthful, but you can see that amount is shown in the red star here on the slide. This target aligns with national scale modeling, which assumes roughly 75 to 85% gross reductions by mid-century, with the remainder offset through carbon sequestration. Our plan seeks to maximize local natural carbon sequestration through forests, wetlands, and soils, while recognizing that greater sequestration potential does exist elsewhere in the nation. This goal is consistent with the targets that we set in ONTO 2050. They're also reflected in the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Climate Action Plan, as well as the City of Chicago's decarbonization targets. Through our modeling, we examined future emission trajectories to understand how much more action will be needed to meet our goal. Our current policy scenario, which primarily reflects Illinois' Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, or CEJA, we estimate it will reduce emissions by about 36% by 2050. And that's even with additional population and employment growth. So that's meaningful progress, but it's clearly not quite enough to reach our target. The plan's full implementation scenario includes 36 modeled strategies across 7 sectors and shows us a path of an 86% reduction in emissions by 2050. As I mentioned earlier, the plan builds on precedent, expanding policies and programs that already exist in the region to other locations within our region, or taking lessons learned from other states and hypothetically asking, like, what if Illinois did something similar? It also draws on benchmarks from state and national modeling. Achieving this scenario requires ambitious action across all levels of government, including renewed and expanded federal policies that support larger economic and technological shifts. Looking closer at the full plan implementation scenario, we can isolate the actions that could be implemented by state and local actors, including the states of Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, our 13 counties, our various regional agencies, and our hundreds of municipalities. Just these state and local actions alone could achieve a 58% reduction in emissions by 2050 without any new federal policy. That is a powerful demonstration of what we can accomplish on our own in partnership with state governments. Buildings present the largest opportunity for state and local action. Transportation reductions are smaller, but still significant. Climate action strengthens our economy, lowers costs, and improves health across Greater Chicago. A clean economy positions the region to compete globally while creating more than 150,000 new local jobs in energy, construction, and industrial processes. Modernizing key industries like steel and logistics cuts costs, reduces pollution, and keeps these businesses competitive. Cleaner, more efficient systems stabilize costs and protect residents from price hikes. So upgrading our buildings, electrifying our homes improves comfort and affordability, while a modern grid could boost reliability during extreme weather. With portions of 11 of our 13 counties in the plan not meeting ozone standards, the plan's strategies could cut major pollutants by up to 50% by 2050, delivering cleaner air, healthier communities, and lower healthcare costs. I want to linger for a moment on what cleaner air really means in our region, because this is where the benefits of climate action really become real. The plan estimates major public health gains from cleaner air, meaning fewer deaths, fewer heart attacks, fewer hospitalizations, and thousands of avoided asthma cases every year by 2050. Altogether, this adds up to more than 1 million avoided health incidents and billions of dollars in savings for families, employers, and healthcare systems. These results show that climate action isn't just about those long-term global outcomes. It's about immediate local improvements in health, comfort, and quality of life. To reach our climate goals, we need to transform how we produce and use energy, move around the region, heat and cool our buildings, power our industry, and restore our natural systems, reshaping these systems that touch daily life. For example, that means upgrading and electrifying our buildings to cut emissions, lower energy use, and improve indoor air quality. It also means restoring forests, wetlands, and soils to pull more carbon from the atmosphere while reducing flooding and improving community resilience. As we move to planning to implementation, there are challenges that will define our success. So first, the sheer scale and pace of policy alignment needed is large. Many existing laws and codes were built for a fossil fuel economy. We'll need rapid, coordinated change across every level of government. Second, shifting federal priorities can create uncertainty, so our regional strategies must remain adaptable and resilient. And third, we'll need stronger institutional capacity and coordination. Delivering this plan requires that state agencies, utilities, local governments, and regional partners pull in the same direction. So recognizing that the strategies that I just listed are just a small subset of what's available, I wanted to pose a question of just what opportunities do you see for local climate action? And here are just a few examples of what we're witnessing across the region.
Thanks, Nora.
That was a question.
It was a
It
question.
was a question.
That's-
I just wanted to add, and Nora kind of highlighted a little bit on the challenges slide that participating in this group was a very large group, first of all, and a very diverse group from, you had environmentalists all the way to steel industry representation and everywhere in between. And the first time I thought, oh my gosh, how are we going to get anything done? But, I have to credit CMAP staff for really doing, their typical excellent job of finding that balance that everyone contributed on those varied perspectives. And in the end, everyone seemed to agree on the methods and the process and how to move forward. So, when you ask about opportunities, I just think continuing with that mindset is a huge opportunity to move forward because, we were at varied extremes to the beginning and then having a very pointed perspective set forth by CMAP that everyone could get behind was greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Go ahead, Mayor.
This was great. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I came up into public service from our environmental commission, and I think just there are so many opportunities. In Highland Park, we have 5 priorities, public safety, blah, blah, blah. One of our 5 priorities is sustainability. So having not sustainability in a silo, but rather looking at every project through a sustainability lens is one of our priorities. Education is critical. We know from the kids, the parents will learn and adopt the necessary approaches, but then also through things like the building code and looking at stretch codes. We have more EVs per capita than any other city in the state. I throw down that challenge. Try to match us and beat us. And that comes through, making sure that people are understanding what the opportunities are and the incentives as they exist. So just wanted to say, it's not a silo. It's not just those green people. It is what we all need to be doing. I know we've set a goal of reduction of 45% by 2030, which I'm like, whoo, okay, let's go. So, but be aspirational and give yourselves that challenge.
Go ahead, Doctor.
First of all, thanks to you and your team actually just for coming up with the plan. And that's exciting to see actually that by 2050, 86% actually just projected actually just reduction in that. That's amazing. But I just want to actually just also remind you that locally, we are not too much in control. Something happens across the country, a wildfire in Canada creates actually just few weeks of actually just air quality issue for us. Something happens actually just, in Gulf of Mexico, actually just we're going to be affected. More drilling happening. All those coal mines actually are reopened now. And so that projection of continuing that trend till 2050, I think it's kind of, you have to put some doubt on that trend to be continuing. And my suggestion is just while you have the plan, also to consider alternatives. Well, if we cannot just mediate all these actually just, climate changes happening, how we can adapt ourselves, how the region can adapt actually just to, if that's not happening with this federal policies, with all the pressure that we're seeing actually just happening. So should we actually just prepare the communities that we have for adaptation?
One of the things I would add is in Linwood, we were awarded a grant that's allowing us to put a focus on climate resiliency. Funding is huge. So making sure that as you're educating local leaders on what this means and how we can take action, also pushing out information of funding streams and grants that might assist us with taking action.
Go ahead, Mayor.
How does this take into effect electric generation in the different types of generation? So, coal generates electricity, but nuclear power also does. So that has to be built into this somehow.
Yeah, so our full plan implementation assumes the complete adoption of CEJA, right? So we're projecting that Illinois is able to meet its clean energy goals in the state of Illinois, and that we are also seeing similar legislation in Wisconsin and in Indiana in order to reach those targets. We do foresee through the plan and through the adoption of more electric appliances and heat pumps and all sorts of things that we will increase our demand on the electrical grid. And so the plan also makes recommendations for investing in that grid so that that energy can be provided in a clean way.
And I'm not trying to put you on, what is the clean way?
Oh, so definitely through renewables, through continued nuclear options.
Okay. I read recently about facility, and I'm not sure where this is in the country, but I think it's out west, but facilities that actually capture CO2 and take it and put it in mines. We don't have mines, but does this build any facilities like that into it?
You know, we were able to meet our full plan implementation without carbon storage and sequestration and storage, or CS, or I can't remember the acronym right now. So we were able to hit that target without the use of that technology. There was a lot of discussion within our working groups on whether that technology is ready for full deployment. And we ultimately decided to reserve it. We did model what it could be, and so the plan will include reference to the potential for that to reduce, but we didn't include it directly in the plan.
Based on what was said, I would think that would be an integral part to capture, because, as population grows and so on and so forth, there's going to be more CO2. And I get we're wetlands and all that, but we're overtaking all of that, or have in the past. So rebuilding that probably, I'm just saying, I don't think you can capture enough CO2 that way. You'd have to figure out a different way to do it, especially with some of the things you said.
Well, it is basically. And this electricity should be actually produced somewhere, if not here, from somewhere else, then that CO2 is going to be actually released somewhere else. That's going to be eventually, the impact is going to stay.
I think, Nora, one of the things that we talked about that's sort of related to this conversation is that when we approached this project, it wasn't sort of like, how do you just get there and drive everything down, but really looking at what the opportunities are here locally and that it serves our local context. One of the things that's different about Northeastern Illinois than other parts of the region is that, or other parts of the country, is that in other parts of the country, transportation is the biggest driver of greenhouse gas emissions. But here, because of the diversity of our economy and the way that we've grown up, it's a little bit lower than we see elsewhere. Is that correct, Nora?
That is correct. Yeah. Our biggest sectors are definitely industry and our buildings.
That's mainly because of the climate, basically the cold climate that we have for heating that you need actually.
Yeah, and perhaps our transportation assets that allow people to get around without driving as much.
I want, we are either second or first actually just congested city in the country always.
Well, so again, the completion of this report helps us meet our federal deadline of December
1st, yeah.
1st.
So in the next couple of weeks, we'll be finalizing the plan and submitting it to US EPA in advance of that December 1st deadline. Then we'll release a public version in a nice graphic format that helps people step through the content in early 2026. And as you all know, the Century Plan will define the region's long-term challenges and priorities. I bet the climate will probably come up in that discussion, and we hope that this climate action plan can provide that technical foundation to inform those conversations. And lastly, we want to highlight all the great work that is already happening in the region in the plan itself. So these project examples are not only inspirational, but they also provide opportunities for us to learn from one another. So we'd love to feature more of your organization's successes in the plan. If you've completed a project that helps the region cut emissions, please take a few minutes. We've got the QR code. We can pass it out later and tell us more about it. We'd love to have photos in the plan itself. So thank you.
Any other final questions? Thanks, Nora, very much. Caroline, thank you too. Moving on to our next item, which is a legislative update. Cassia, here you go.
Hi, everyone. Kasha Hart, principal with our intergovernmental affairs team. As was already talked about, so early Halloween morning, the Illinois General Assembly concluded their fall veto session. One of the most significant items addressed was Senate Bill 2111, the comprehensive transit funding and reform package that authorizes nearly a $1.5 billion investment in transit capital and operations, avoiding service cuts and layoffs. I've already gotten a preview from the bill, but so just to go a tiny bit deeper. So the bill creates the new Northern Illinois Transit Authority, which will be overseen by a 20-member board with 5 members appointed by each the governor, the mayor of Chicago, the Cook County Board President, and Collier County leadership to promote coordination across NETA and the service boards. Most of the NETA board members actually also sit on the CTA, Metra, and PACE boards. Some of the new roles for NETA include setting fare policy and operating an integrated fare collection system, developing service standards to guide regional service planning and capital planning. Regarding the funding options that were included in the bill, again, it enables a nearly $1.5 billion investment in transit operations and capital through a couple of different sources. So this includes a 0.25% increase in the RTA sales tax rate. It dedicates the sales tax on motor fuel to transit operations. That's estimated to be at about $860 million, with 85% going to the Northeastern Illinois region, 15% to downstate, and dedicates the interest in the road fund balance to transit capital. That is estimated to be at $200 million with a 90-10 split between Northeastern Illinois and downstate. The bill also increases tolls by 45 cents for passenger vehicles and 30% for commercial vehicles. Those revenues are directed to support Tollway's capital program. In the part report, we talked about this issue really needing a three-legged approach between the governance options, funding, and system improvements. So just want to make a quick note of some of the system improvements that legislators included in the bill, some of which are aligned with the part report. Some are, taking a different approach. There are, several safety provisions that are included in the bill, including a new NETA law enforcement task force that's to be led by the Cook County Sheriff's Office. There's the creation of the new NETA Office of Transit Safety and Experience to be led by a new Chief Transit Safety Officer and then a new Transit Ambassadors Program. Other improvements that are, in the spirit of regional coordination and integration of transit into our larger transportation system include the creation of a new Transit Integration Policy Development Committee within IDOT, and requiring a requirement that NETA hire a third party to assess opportunities for dial-a-ride coordination across the region. Lastly, just want to make note of some of the transit-oriented development, transit supportive development provisions that are included in this bill. It does provide NETA with the authority to acquire and sell properties for transit supportive development. That must be done in compliance with local land use regulations. NETA is also tasked with developing a transit supportive development inventory. This is one place where the bill language did note that responsibility could be conferred to the Metropolitan Planning Organization in the region, so CMAP. It does also include the elimination of minimum parking requirements within a half mile of public transit hubs or eighth of a mile of public transit corridors. We are continuing to look at these provisions and others in the bill, understand their impacts to the region. I know these are top of mind for you all, so just wanted to make note of that here today. Regarding implementation, the bill has an effective date of June 1st, 2026. All new board appointments must be approved by the appointing authorities within 120 days of the act's passage. So that's October of next year. So it's a relatively swift implementation timeline for the bill. As Aaron and Mayor Bennett has noted, this is really a tremendous milestone in this process, but there's plenty of work that remains to ensure a smooth, timely transition that yields the improvements towards a more coordinated, accessible, and affordable system. It does take a lot of work to stand up a new agency, both logistically, operationally, but also from that policy perspective. So how does the new agency incorporate some of the policy objectives of regional coordination that we had talked about in the part report? So We are still assessing what our role may be in this process, and we'll continue to provide you with updates as that unfolds. But we are very grateful for your contributions up until this point and the leadership you've provided with the part report, which we've heard from legislators really proved to be a critical roadmap in these discussions. So thank you all for that. While transit was sort of the marquee item during veto session, just a very quick note about the energy omnibus that also passed, following up on what Nora presented to you all today. This bill, known as the Clean and Reliable Grid Act, is primarily focused on strengthening the reliability and resiliency of our grid, really ensuring that the state is able to implement CEJA fully. The bill creates a new incentive structure for battery energy storage projects and creates new energy efficiency requirements at natural gas and electric utilities. It also lifts a longstanding moratorium on the construction of large-scale nuclear power plants in the state and provides the ICC with new authorities to conduct integrated resource planning. So that's looking at the grid from both the supply and demand side. Like the transit bill, lots of provisions that our team is still reviewing to try to understand its impacts to the region. So we'll certainly keep you apprised as we spend a little bit more time in these thousand plus page documents. So just to conclude, the governor has not yet signed either of these bills into law. That would be the next step in this process. And the General Assembly is not scheduled to convene again until the regular session begins in mid-January. So with that concludes my legislative update. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead, Carolyn.
Thank you very much for the update. Going to the transportation one, and before it used to be 1.5 miles on the TOD, but now it's a half mile. Do you know if there's any kind of map associated with that? I mean, I've been asked for a map of what that would look like. Do you know if they have one? Because I think there was kind of not a very clear picture as to what it even means. So I don't know if there's a map.
Not to my knowledge, but I have heard questions about that as well. And so I think that's something we're happy to take a closer look at.
Yeah, that seems like it's in our wheelhouse to
Yeah.
make a map. So we'll take a look at that.
Thank
We
you.
know some folks who might be able to help with that. Yes.
Any other questions? Mayor, go ahead.
And just also regarding the TOD, there was a provision added at the 11th hour, literally, that it was pursuant to municipal approval, not just the land use regulations, but the actual use and obtaining of that land to do that development is subject to municipal approval first. So while parking still got through, TOD, I think, got more contained.
Yes, that was great that they added that. That was something we were fighting for or against, I should say. And how could we give up local control, right? So one last question, our legislative agenda going forward. Are we going to ask for money again?
Yes, we will be asking for money.
Considering now we're the only trusted agency in the state, I'm sorry, they should permanently make that funding going forward. I missed somebody. I'm sorry, over here.
Yeah, Mayor Reinbold.
Mayor, go ahead.
On the energy legislation, did I understand correctly that siting of solar facilities in municipalities, that there was no longer local authority to regulate that? Or,
That's a good, I would have to double check the language to answer
Okay,
for
okay.
certain.
because I had heard that, but just wanted to get clarity if we had clarity on that.
It is spelled out in the legislation. In fact, I talked to Brad Cole, the IML, about clarification on how far that really, that reach is. But yeah, we need to find more out about that.
Yeah, we can follow up on that.
Any other questions?
If I could follow up on that too, because I was reading the same, it actually says they can't prohibit it. So I don't know if that's going to be I don't know if you can determine that or if it's going to have to be,
Yeah,
determined.
whether the application is restricted by zoning or whether the application,
They can't prohibit it through ordinance or resolution I'm pretty sure it's really close to
and
the
that's
language.
what.
So what that means, if you guys can interpret that, I would love to hear it. But otherwise, I think that might need to be down the line.
Is that at a large level or at a residential level?
Again, the wording in general is across the board. So whether it's commercial or residential, and that's what needs to be defined, or we need to understand that more clearly.
Because if you remember back when the big satellite dishes came out, And we as municipalities tried to regulate that, and then that was taken away, which makes sense. I thought made sense. That's probably what this does in a sense.
We'll try to get more clarification. Thank you. Moving on. Any other business, did I miss somebody? No. Any other business before the board? Any public comment? I'm guessing yes.
Yeah, Garland.
Garland? Is he on?
Oh, hey,
Right, Gar-
Garland, you're still muted.
You're muted.
Oh, let me see. Garland, you're still muted. Let me see if we can get you. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Loud and
All
clear.
right, how you doing, Mayor Bennett?
I'm doing great, Garland.
All right, it's Garland Armstrong, formerly of Elmwood Park and Displays, now living in Des Moines, Iowa, along with my wife. I'm Heather. I just would like to give kudos to all of y'all for that transit bill, because you certainly, it was like a down to the wire part, but I want to give kudos to y'all for working together and making sure that everything will be clear and understandable, especially those in the disability community who cannot who cannot who do not speak English, needs to translate it in their language so that they'll know what is what. So I want to give kudos to all of y'all doing that and making sure that the disability community will understand what is what's going on right now, how to translate in their language so that they can be extremely well prepared for it. And also, too, I want to talk about the sidewalks where you are at. Are y'all working on the progress of getting the sidewalks flat? Because there are some sidewalks that is slightly up in different municipalities, like in the suburbs and other areas where it's not completely flat. So I would like to know if any of them from those different counties check on the sidewalks, if their sidewalks is slightly up but not flat all the way, because that could be an incident waiting to happen if mobility starts going right slightly up to it, and then all of a sudden an incident happens. So will they work on that to make sure that it will never happen? And some of them might hear the word lawsuit coming. So I hope y'all can put that into perspective and making sure that they are safe and not to be injured or end up in a hospital. So I just would like to know what's the progress of that and making sure that they are working on it to make sure it won't happen down the road. So, and also too, you tell the legislators too that they need a redemption center to get those recycling for glass, bottles, cans, because we have one here and also another one in Michigan where they recycle, where they can get their refunds back. And I think y'all need to catch up on it or try to set a strategic plan on it, because since y'all need to do it because y'all can get the refund and then check on the data, how's the progress of it coming along, so y'all can be like the neighboring states doing it. So that is my suggestion of it. And also, too, just want you to know with the holidays coming up, my wife's birthday is coming up fast on New Year's Day, and then we have our anniversary on January 29th, 22 years, and then my birthday will be February 23rd, where I'll be 60 years old. 60 years old. So I just want to give y'all a heads up in advance for 2026. And I'll be glad to answer any questions from any directors or you, Mayor Bennett. And
No question for me, Garland, although it seems like since you moved to Iowa, you're using the term y'all a lot. Did everybody else catch that? Garland, we always wish you the best in your lovely
Oh,
bride.
right. And also, too, as you know, my mother passed away August the 2nd of this year of cerebral hemorrhage in the back of her head bleeding. And I'll be back in the Chicagoland area in April for the memorial after Easter, before the end of April, for my mother's, her ashes is cremated, but I'll be there for the memorial at my at our former home church in Roselle, Trinity Lutheran Church. So just want to give y'all a heads up. And then where we're going to be guests at, Access Living is helping out, or we have to end up in a hotel as guests when we come
Thank
back
you.
in April.
Thanks, Garland. We'll follow up on some of the ADA comments you made, because I do think some of those things are included in the transition plans that are required. So have a safe holiday.
You too, and rock on, CMAP.
All right. Thanks, Garland.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
The executive committee will meet
Yes.
right after this meeting. The agenda is short.
Okay.
Our next meeting scheduled for January 14th.
Yes, we are off
Um,
next month, so enjoy the holidays and we will see you after.
And a motion to adjourn, or you're
And I'll
going
entertain a
to
motion to adjourn, yes. Moved in second, all in favor, signify by the usual manner. Motion carried, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.